This coming Sunday, Pontypridd Town women at home. The rubber hits the road for the new Saints women.
It's got a good ring to it, what you just said, hasn't it? So I think everybody's really excited. We've worked incredibly hard over several weeks and several months now to get to this stage. So, I guess in many ways the preparation's done. Let's just get on with it.
Previously, TNS ladies, as they were then, played in the English system. Now, of course, moving across the border into Wales. What have been the pros and cons in terms of player recruitment?
In terms of where we've come from, obviously the knowledge base of players that are available to us that might want to come in and play in the Welsh system has been really useful, making those contacts and establishing that sort of network. The major con, I guess, really is the extent of the travel now. So we previously may have had a travel distance maybe of an hour and a half on a match day. That's pretty much doubled, if not even longer than double, which extends the day as well on a match day, Sunday. So there's a big, I guess, physical and mental preparation side around actually how you're going to handle those away games in particular.
And on to Sunday's game, of course, Pontypridd Town women, as we've said. What do you know about them, Andy? And in particular, what sort of challenge are you expecting?
Well, first and foremost, they're a relatively newly established team as well, because they've merged two sides together and brought players from different clubs under one banner themselves. So it's a really important day for them as well, because it'll be their first competitive game, just as it is ours. But in terms of what do we know about them, we don't know very much about them because they're a newly formed team. What we do know is they've made lots of key signings. They've got a lot of players with a lot of experience in this league. So we're expecting, first and foremost, a well-organised side. We're expecting a determined team that want to make a point, similar to ourselves. And we're expecting a team with players that know how to handle themselves in this league, whether that's the physical side of the game or whether it's the actual game management as well, and how to get 3 points in this league.
And the new Saints, of course, the new kids on the block. There's been lots of pre-season attention, and no doubt that will continue not only from match day one but throughout the campaign.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that's out of our hands, isn't it? All we can ever do is control what we're in, is in our circle of influence. All of that expectation, that pressure that comes with it, the eyes that are on us, that's completely out of our control. We've just got to take care of what we can, which is to bring a group of players together. And, we're talking about new kids on the block. We've got some experienced players in the group. We've got some young players in the group. We're new in terms of this team being together, but these players, they've all played football before, so they all know what the game's about, they know how to handle themselves, etc. So we're not perturbed by sort of that spotlight either this weekend or moving forward. I've said several times already that this is a longer term plan for us. It's baby steps, so we've got one more step this weekend and then there'll be another step next week, so we'll just take it in our stride as best as we can this week.
You just mentioned the long-term plan. Well, that was the next question, because you've made reference to that in previous interviews that we've done. What about this particular season, though? What's the goals for the club this time round?
Well, we've got to break it up, haven't we? So in terms of the season, we know that there are 14 games in the regular season, 7 home, 7 away. So the likelihood is we'll break that up into groups of 7. What is it that we're looking for over the first 7 games, then the next 7 games, before the league then splits north and south? Taking the season as a whole, obviously, as a group of players, we've got to establish a group of players, we've got to raise expectation, we've got to raise their baseline in absolutely everything. So we've got to raise their technical baseline, their tactical baseline, we've got to raise their physical baseline, we've got to gel them as a group. Our goals for the season are, as you said, your phrase, the rubber hits the road. Our sort of mentality at the moment is to establish ourselves in this league. We know it's going to be extremely, extremely challenging. We know that we're going to have to take some heavy punches along the way. We're not sort of deluded in that sense. We're not blind to that fact. We're all about establishing and maintaining a competitive presence in this league.
And as we conduct our in-house press conference this afternoon, this evening, there will be a training session. Do you have the starting lineup in mind, or are there still places up for grabs depending on what you see out there on the pitch today?
I think for this weekend, my mind's pretty set at the moment as to what that starting lineup might look like, what that formation is going to look like, and what the game plan is going to look like. There is still a couple of players that are, I guess, working their way to full fitness, having recuperated from some injuries. We've got a couple of players that are just returning from holidays and so on and so forth. So I think, over the next fortnight, 3 weeks, we'll just be jostling to work out our perfect starting 11 to, as I say, tackle those immediate first set of 7 games.
And finally, Andy, although you are no stranger, of course, to the new Saints, today is your first day full-time with the club, so a very warm welcome there, of course. How's it going so far?
Yeah, it's rather strange because, as you say, officially day one, but of course I do know pretty much everybody here. I'm just getting myself cracking on with all of the things that I know that I need to do. There's plenty of meetings, there's plenty of sort of like emails and admin to catch up on, and of course meeting with the coaching staff, discussing tonight's session, planning for that, and working on our game plan for the weekend. So in answer to your question, I've not really had too much time to think about what today's bringing or what it's looking like, just because it's so hectic and so busy at the moment.
And being full-time, no doubt that will give you advantages over perhaps previous times when you were just part-time with the club, in terms of the women, the general running, and all the stuff that goes into the mix ahead of games.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously when you're running a dual career, your mind's flicking in and out of different things, and you never really get a good run devoting mental energy and thinking time to your football and the establishment of the team and the routines and so on. So, as you say, being around the football club every single day, having those conversations, whether they're formal conversations, informal conversations, picking up ideas, sharing points, whether it's to do with the women's first team, whether it's to do with the development or the pathway through to the development, or whether it's other sides of the club to do with the foundation and other roles and responsibilities that I may have. The opportunity actually to devote all of my thinking time to that now obviously is invaluable.